So it's been a while since I've done a Q&A session, and I thought today we'd sit down and get through the questions that you've left on my community post over on YouTube. Now, there's quite a few questions in here, so I'll rattle them off as quickly as I can. And this video is not going to be half an hour long. And we'll start right at the bottom, work our way up the list. So if you want to see these questions in more detail, head over to my community tab, the Q&A post. I'll leave a link in the description. But first of all, let's start off with one from Will. And Will asks, not sure if you've answered this already, Cal, but what is your handicap at golf? Okay, I did say ask me anything, so I'm bound to get a few curveballs in here. I have been as low as 17.4, I think it was. But then over the last year with COVID and illness and family issues, I've not really focused as much on my practice as I should. I think my handicap's probably between 20 and 22 at the moment, so yeah, not great. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Will. If you want to check out my new golfing YouTube channel though, head over to Big Nose Golf. Again, link will be in the description. Please be kind. Next question we have is from Anthony, and Anthony says, how much are you earning, exact post, average word count on your blogs, etc. Anthony, if you want to know that, my income reports are published every month. I am one of the YouTubers that do disclose all my earnings. Now, I don't include any earnings, profits or losses or anything like that from the affiliate gathering event. That is a totally separate business, and I have a business partner in that business which I need to respect her decisions and wishes not to share that information, so that's fine. So I show you all my income from carlbroadbent.com, my YouTube channel, email lists, website portfolios. So head over to my playlist, you'll find all that information there. But to give you some raw data, I average between $10,000 and $15,000 turnover per month, and that can fluctuate. Sometimes I have some really good months when I sell a website, but other than that, it's usually between $10,000 and $15,000, and it's taken me 4 years to get to that level. But turnover is not everything. It's the profit you need to focus on. I saw an interview the other day from, I think it was Spencer Hawes' channel, where they interviewed Anne Moore, who earns over $200,000 per month. Now, it made me think about the team that she has and how much expense is involved in that. See, she has over 50 employees, I think she said, and I just wonder how much it costs to run a portfolio of that site. So she may be turning over $200,000. Trust me, that will not be profit. Still going to be a good sum of money, but it's definitely profit you need to take more notice of rather than turnover. Next question, I have a lot of keywords. I sold my first ever website for $5,000 and I'm always too lazy to work on the new project. How do you deal with that? The way I deal with projects and being lazy about starting them is I start them before I sell my last project. So if I'm looking to exit a website, I always make sure I've got 1 or 2 websites in the pipeline. I may have got the domain, I may have put the theme on there. I usually put 20 or 30 articles on there and I let them sit. Then when I come to sell one of my main projects, I already have something to start working on, have some data, have some numbers to go by, and I can choose which one is doing the best, and then I start working on that one. It's always more motivating if you can start on a project where it's kind of out of the sandbox and you start seeing instant results. So I kind of bank my projects, if that makes sense. So there's always 3 or 4 projects on the go. I may not be working on them every day, but they're always in the background there, ready to work on when I exit a successful project. The next question we've got is from Jason. Jason asks, how many hours a day are you looking at screens and working on your business? I imagine you can break it up with some fresh air, get out, play a bit of golf, do a bit of exercise. And you're dead right, Jason. In fact, I've just had to go get my first ever pair of glasses, which I need for when I'm looking at the computer screen. In fact, I should probably be wearing them now while I'm reading these messages. But yeah, I found over the last 4 years my eyesight has deteriorated. I find myself kind of doing that a lot, so I needed to go to the optician. Now, I did ask them the question, is it because I'm staring at computer screens all day? And she actually just said no. She was a bit more blunt. She said it's just your age, you're old. So I was like, okay, thanks. But yeah, I definitely think there has been some degree of element of my eyesight going downhill looking at the screen. Now, I'll be honest, when I first started, I probably stared at the screen for about 10 hours straight each day. Now, I don't do as much work as I did previously. So 4 years ago when I was starting, I just sat here literally day in, day out, every hour I could, until the wife dragged me off of the computer screen. Now I'm much more structured and organised, and I do take it a little bit more easy. Hence the new project, the playing golf project. I have more time to invest into a new project like that because my online business and my portfolio is kind of taking care of itself. The only thing that really takes up a lot of time is doing YouTube for carlbroadbent.com. That takes up a lot of my time. But yeah, I do break it up now. So I'd say on a day, I probably stare at the screen probably 5 hours in total, but that's definitely broken up into small segments. And another question from Anthony, what do you think blogging will be in 2030? So I have thought about this, and I actually do think it will be more video, picture, interactive, even VR type of interaction and content. I think there'll be less written content, and I think it'll be more video and pictures. I can imagine Google SERPs in 10 years' time just scrolling, just being video and VR and interactive and VR and video. I think it'll be a lot of that rather than 2,000 written blog posts. The reason I think that is I just think about my user actions and think about yourself. Stop for a moment now and just think, when's the last time you fully and honestly read a 2,000 word blog post to find some information you wanted? When was it? I can't remember the last time I did it, but I can tell you in the last week, I have searched on YouTube several questions that I want answering. I've bought some new camera equipment. I'm looking at buying a Sony camcorder, and I wanted those questions answered. And the first place I went was YouTube, and I got quality, in-depth, original answers from watching those YouTube videos. Whereas when I read the blog post about it, I kind of got bored after the first 200 words and just jumped off the post and went back onto YouTube. So I do see the future of blogging and affiliate marketing being more video based. But hey, the world of like VR and interaction is coming along now. So maybe it'll all be VR based. Maybe you'll put some goggles on, answer a question, and somebody will pop into the video in front of you in 3D and tell you all the answers you need to know. May even be live. So yeah, I think the future is still strong, but I do think we need to learn and move with the times. And the next question is, hi Carl, your thoughts on Google's helpful content and how the blogging space will evolve in the next 5 years? Very similar to what we've just touched on now. Long-term views, looking forward to your thoughts. So thank you for your question. Again, very similar to what I've just said. I think it will be more video and image based. I do think Google is struggling with the amount of words being published. And if you look at their helpful content guide, they did kind of hint, stop writing 2,000 and 3,000 and 4,000 long word articles. You don't need it. We need short, snappy, precise answers to people's questions. So there was a lot of insightful information in that guide that they brought out, and I do think it is worth taking note of, and especially the length of word counts, etc. I think the days of writing 1,000, 2,000 and pillar post content, I think those days are gone. The next question we got is from James. James says, I have a site in the sports niche. It's now 4 months of about 85 articles on it. About 50 of them are 3 months old. I am curious at what amount of impressions I am receiving now. It's been getting 1,200 impressions with a CTR of 1% for a while now, until yesterday after Google announced its September update, and I jumped to 2,500 impressions a day. Do you think I am on the right track, and should I rethink the niche? Well, without looking at your website and looking into the data, i.e. what articles are getting those impressions, are those impressions that are spiking, are the clicks following that impression? I've seen a lot of instances on my sites and other people's sites recently where impressions are going through the roof, absolutely doubling, tripling, quadrupling, is that a word? Yeah, going like massive, but then the clicks are not following. And that's because Google's playing around with features in the SERPs. You'll find maybe your keywords are mixed amongst video content. People also ask, there's new features popping up in Google all the time. I think Google's playing around with those, certainly page 1 features in the SERPs, and maybe your article's in there and it's getting seen, but there's more interesting features to click to get the answer, if that makes sense. So I would have to look at your individual data to ask you that. But I mean, you've wrote 85 articles, 50 of them are quite new. Just give it time and see what happens. But you need to learn to dive into your Google Analytics and look at your data and specific keywords and see how they're performing. And that will give you a better overview of how your website's doing. And the next question is from a Diabetic Game Guy, a regular on the channel. Did you have a Eureka moment when you realised you had grown enough that you could make content creation your full-time job? How did you have that conversation with your wife? I think I had the Eureka moment when I won the Income School competition. The guys from Income School, Ricky and Jim, came over to my house and kind of showed me that this industry is real. My wife thought it was pie in the sky and some imaginary business, what you can sit at home, type a few things in a computer and you make thousands of dollars. She just thought that was unrealistic and never gonna happen. I always come up with crazy ideas, business ideas, and they often don't happen. So I think she was a bit worried that, this was another one of those. But I think the Eureka moment was when they showed me some hard, concrete evidence and data that it does work, and that gave me the inspiration to actually push along and do it as a full-time job. Now, actually going full-time, I consulted with my boss and said to him, this is what I'm thinking of doing. And he was really, really good to the point where he said, no, okay, wait a minute. Don't quit your job. Why don't you just reduce your hours? Let's keep you on the payroll, start building this business up. And if it works and you want to go full time, then we've still got your job here if you need it. And I'm so blessed that he did that. And that gave me the confidence then to say to my wife, listen, let's try it for 6 months. If it doesn't work, my job's still there. So I was very fortunate to, number one, win the competition with YouTube, and number two, to have a boss and a job that allowed me to do that. So I'm very fortunate that happened, and I think without those two things there, I may have never quit that job. It was a very secure, well-paid job, and maybe I'd have never took that risk. So luckily it has paid off, so I'm absolutely thrilled. And the next question we've got is probably from one of the best names I've ever heard. The Village Idiot has asked, hey Carl, my main website got hit with a helpful content update. I'm sorry to hear that, but my smaller sites are doing well. My question to you is, do you think it's okay to have a website with 500 posts, or to advise you to have smaller sites to avoid Google updates? Well, smaller sites can get hit. I do think it's nice to have one website that you can put 80 or 90% of your focus in and really make it a success. I'm a big advocate of that, but I do think you need these smaller sites as backup if anything goes wrong. Now, like I said, they can get hit just as much as anything. It's not just big sites that this update has targeted, it's all sites. So yeah, I advocate one big website that you work on all the time. Mine at the moment is Gardenia Organic, but I do have Hutch and Cage, have a travel site, I have what I call my mega broad niche website as well, and I have a few others. So I have them smaller sites that are always ticking along in the background, and if anything ever happened overnight to my big site and I couldn't recover it or anything like that, then I could work on those other sites. So definitely one big project, but also 2 or 3 little sidelines that are there just in case anything happens. I think that's the best and safest plan to have. Another question from Diabetic Game Guy. He asks, how much did winning the competition where Ricky and Jim came to your house, did it change your life? Do you think you would have been a full-time blogger without their visit? I think I've just answered that. I wouldn't have been a full-time blogger without their visit. Nope. I don't think there's any way I could have convinced my wife that this was a solid business platform to enter. And they sat her down, showed us some realistic numbers, and I think it gave her the confidence to say, okay, green light, let's go, let's give this a try. So the next question we have is from a gentleman. He says, I'm an engineer and I have found that my discipline, maybe he means his niche, is terribly underserved. Nobody has written any good content about it, and the YouTube videos on the topic are lame. For that reason, I was thinking about creating a site and a channel to answer most common questions. I want to create something online like a course to use in my blog. Do you think this is a good strategy? 100% yes. Anything that you're interested in, whether it be your career, your hobby, you are more passionate, more educated, more of an authority to actually create content on that topic. So especially if you're saying it's underserved and the videos that's out there are lame and you can 100% beat them, do it. It is a business plan. I'll maybe leave a link up in the screen somewhere to a video that I've just put out now showing my latest business plan all around golf and the niche of golf, where I'm going to be creating social media channels, a YouTube golfing channel, and a website, linking all them together with my experience of playing golf, being in many golf societies, being able to build websites, being able to film YouTube content, I think gives me the advantage over the others. Now, I'm not aiming at trying to beat the big players in golf. I'm never going to beat Rick Shields or do any of the big golfing channels. I'm going to have my own little creative community and niche where I can hopefully just share some really good quality course reviews and watch me play, and hopefully it helps somebody out. Somebody may be struggling with golf and I may be struggling with golf, and we can relate. So yeah, I think that's a great opportunity for you, and I would 100% advise you do it. And the last question we've got is from Chris. Chris says, hey Carl, can you give us popcorn theme users? If you don't know what that is, it's a WordPress theme that me, Phil and Alex work on all the time, and we sell it to bloggers just like yourselves. And we've created that theme specifically for ease of use and speed. And the license fee is a one-time payment, and you can use it on any website forever. So it's a great theme. Again, I'll leave a link in the description. He asked, I need some details on how to improve the core web vitals. I saw in your last video that you had some great scores on your website. Would love to try and duplicate your results. So what have I done that's special? Absolutely nothing. I've installed the theme. I've put on some good, quick, reliable hosting, which is spiderweb.net. I've optimized all my on-page SEO, so my images are optimized. I don't have featured images inside the post. I don't have any big tables or YouTube videos in the blog post. I make them as optimized as possible. I also go into Ezoic. I run Ezoic ads on my websites, and I activated the leap settings. And yeah, I played around with a couple of those settings, but I didn't do anything specific. And as you've seen, my website, this gentleman's mentioned, has nearly 1,000 articles on there, and both my mobile and desktop core web vital scores are like high 80s into the 90s, and they're all green. And like I say, it's just because I've done all the basics right from day one. Again, there's no magic button, there's nothing I clicked in Ezoic that just fixed everything. I think it's just a combination of a few things that put me on the right path and got me those results. So yeah, check the quality of your hosting. Is your theme super light and fast? Are you optimizing your on-page SEOs? Have you got Ezoic? Do you switch the leap settings on? Do you run Mediavine? Is there any settings in there you can activate? Can you reach out to them for help? I just basically do all the basics right from day one. When I launch a site, I make sure all those basics are in place, and I stick to them like glue for the duration of the website. And that usually gets me pretty good core web vital scores. I'll be honest with you, it's not something I panic about. Yeah, if they was dramatically horrible, then I would panic about them and fix it. But if your core web vital scores are in the 70s, 80s, 90s, then I don't think Google's going to really punish you for that. I think you could possibly improve it. Would it make a huge difference to your website? I don't think it would. So do all the basics right from day one, and you shouldn't have any issues. So there we go, that's all the questions for today. I hope I answered them as quickly as possible. I hate Q&A videos where they run on for 30-40 minutes. Hopefully this has been a little bit shorter than that, but hopefully I've also answered all your questions. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next Q&A. Not sure when that'll be, but I'll do one very soon. Bye bye for now.